This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
JeffersonForum.net, where the free states have met. 2 years into World War I, British Field Marshal Douglas Haig made a terrible mistake. It was an attempt to destroy the German armies in France by piercing their trench lines on a river called the Somme. Until this point, most of his attacks had been limited, and the results had been tragic. Now he would launch an attack that was unlimited, and the results would be unspeakable. Haig lost 60,000 troops on the first day, and when the battle was declared over 6 months later, it had killed 600,000 of his men, for a gain of about 5 miles. Sometimes when people use an approach that doesn't work, they come to the conclusion that they just need to do more of it, on a bigger scale.
People here, you have every right
So shut it off, or you're going to be coming with me.
Okay. Limited crackdowns on New Hampshire liberty activists have mostly been limited failures. So, someone may get the bright idea to try an unlimited crackdown, which I believe would eventually be an unlimited failure.
Hey Sam, what did they talk?
But we want it to be a failure as quickly as possible, with as little pain as possible for everyone involved on both sides. So, we need infrastructure that can continue functioning in the midst of such a crackdown. Probably you'd see some mobilization of the Ron Paul movement around the country. There would likely be mainstream media coverage of a significant nature. But the most secure type of support we might have would be that which is located overseas. Officially, there are about 500 Free Staters living outside the U.S. Unofficially, the total is probably more like 600. In other words, these are folks who live in other countries. They're probably citizens of other countries, but they are pledged to move to New Hampshire under certain circumstances. My dream would be to see perhaps 10% of this group of 500 or 600 people standing by to support us if we come under a massive attack. If you look at the video description for this clip, you'll see a lot of ways that a person outside the U.S. can assist. But I want to focus specifically on the YouTube element. A big crackdown would disrupt our local media infrastructure, so it would be nice to have, say, 5 or 6 Free Stater YouTubers who live outside the country. If those people would just do, essentially, what the Ridley Report does, then we would have roughly uninterrupted coverage of whatever happened to us. Obviously, there are limits to what a person can do from a distance, but if you think about it, roughly half of Ridley Reports are not even produced at the scene. I just do them from wherever I am, and I could do them from anywhere. So that means you could as well. YouTubers operating overseas are, to some extent, beyond the likely reach of the federal government. Obviously, I'm sort of skimming over all the other things a person offshore could do, and I'm skimming over all the things that would likely be done by people inside the U.S. A crisis of this magnitude would probably unfold at a time when the American internet access is limited. So we need to know that we've always got eyes looking out for us, even if not a single American can get on the internet. We already have a Free State Ridleyographer operating effectively out of Georgia in the American South. He's over at lclreport.com. You could do the same thing from any country with an internet connection. It's simply a matter of starting a channel, a YouTube channel, and doing commentary about New Hampshire events. The simplest version would simply be to aim the camera at yourself and talk about how you feel. But if you wanted to go deeper, you could edit in still shots, or you could edit in file video. Your distance from the U.S. and hopefully a foreign accent would actually be magnifiers in some ways. You would be a novelty, an exotic new addition to our media infrastructure. If you need file video, you're certainly welcome to download anything that's on the Ridley Report. Maybe at some point I would be able to get you copies of my video archive on DVD or something. I wouldn't do that unless you had a proven track record. It would take too much time. Anyhow, those are just some thoughts as to one way you frustrated overseas folks might be able to turn your distance into an advantage. Maybe you can do more for us where you are than you could anywhere else.
Free State Wyoming, Seasteaders, Southern Cross. The Free State concept continues to spread across the nation. But Liberty migrants need a place to communicate and compare notes. Now they've got it. JeffersonForum.net, where the Free States have met.